Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. That's my bad. My mic is on.
Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment.
Is there an echo in here? My speakers are on. Anyway.
Well, we know the mics are working.
Well, at least, yep, we got the audio working. Anyway, my cold open was going to be this. If I had a wife, every single morning I'd whisper into her ear, "Darling, you need to do 10 naked jumping jacks in front of me, or have sex with me, or this relationship is over." And she can make the same demands of me. But, you know, if one of those two things happened, you know, I'd be happy for another 24 hours. And things can work out between us. I think it's thoughts like this are the reason why I'm still single. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. That among other things. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. The madman. I looked up at the screen. I saw myself. I was like, oh yeah, and I'm ugly. It's Shock Monkey Radio. I'm your host, the Madman. I want to remind you, go to Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I'd very much appreciate it. And I still have sticker packs I could send out to the next people who become a patron. I'll send you a sticker pack with some Shock Monkey stickers. Don't worry, it won't be this one, but that's behind me. This is a new one. I'm not sure I like it. It's a little too Looney Toony. You know, that picture. Anyway. But I was looking back at like the old shows, like they're so long we had the same background, you know. And so just for switching it up, I know this show isn't very video intensive, or, you know, I hope you're not looking at me the whole time. I hope you're doing other stuff, because that's how I watch content. Like, I don't like if I have to stop, like I can't play a video game anymore because I got to pay attention to this movie. Like I watched Fury the other day and I said, I got to pay attention to this. There's a lot of good, heavy stuff in here. Anyway. Yep. Become a patron. I'll send you a sticker pack. I'm in a weird mood. It is freaking hot. All right. We're lucky. We're a little past the midway of June, and we haven't had too many oppressively hot days, but it's been pretty bad yesterday and today. Hopefully we'll get some lower pressure coming through this evening with thunderstorms, maybe some rain, cool this off, and the pollen. Oh God, friggin' hate summer. Anyway. Now follow me on social media over here. So I got my G.I. Joe Bible. G.I. Joe Bible. Look at this thing. Look at this ponderous tome. All right. And it's the first 50 G.I. Joe comics from you can see all the green panels. 50 G.I. Joe comics from the 80s, Larry Hama series. The guy who came up with all the characters, and the guy loved ninjas, and the guy loved soldiers, and he came up with a lot of good lore. And I'm only like three comic books in, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to read them all, because I didn't get to read them all when I was a kid. You know, what was it, like 75 cents to a dollar when it came out, $1 an issue? I couldn't afford that every month. Not when it was all that candy and soda I had to have. Debatable. But I figured I'd buy this. This was like $70. I got it at Barnes & Noble. But I figured if I got like 10 issue comics, it'd probably be like $300. So I figured I'd get the one big book, even though it's difficult to read. And this will get out my G.I. Joe Jollies. You know, instead of me buying expensive action figures from the 80s, you know. And I did the video of the Madman Anjou 003. I did, and I in that video, I watched one of Destro's My Spirit Animal videos, and he was talking about the classified line of G.I. Joes and how they came up with these newer, taller figures that are far more detailed and stuff like that. And there's clearly action figures for adults who liked toys in the 80s. And here's the thing. What am I going to do with that stuff? Really? Put a gun in his hand? Take pictures of it? Upload it to Instagram? No. This gets out my G.I. Joe Jollies. All right. Anyway, midlife crisis continues apace. Okay, we could talk about the Sinister Six again. I'm so glad I'm in, man. I've been like worried for a while, like almost a year. Are they even going to let me in? I don't have any powers or anything like that. And so the other day I got to speak to Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin. And before I met him, Vulture called me. He says, whatever you do, do not call him Norm. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he told me this story. He said, like in 1988, the Six were having a party at this bar. And as you know, in like the 80s, like Cheers was real hot. And so everyone was already there, but they're waiting on the Green Goblin to show up, Norman to show up. And and so when he got there, they all pulled the Cheers Norm thing, and he was furious. He started throwing like pumpkin bombs everywhere. Everyone's scattering. Dr. Octopus had to wrap him up and like take him outside. And they said they couldn't believe how much money they had to give this bar to keep things quiet because Norman lost his temper. And from what I hear, it happens a lot. He's a very serious guy when I talk to him. He, how can I put this? He's a little arrogant. He perks up when he talks about his son, Harry, but no sense of humor. Absolutely no sense of humor. The Sinister Six are allowing me to use some of their old tech since I don't have any powers, or as Green Goblin called me completely useless. So I can use some of Vulture's old tech or maybe Green Goblin's old tech. Pick and choose what I want. I got to pick a name and all that. But I mean, I got a lot of time before I'm even like eligible to actually be like a full-fledged member of the Sinister Six. I'm like probationary. I'm a probie, probationary Sinister Six member. But I do get to interact with people like the Green Goblin. Yeah, zero sense of humor. We talked, strictly business. Guy didn't really. I asked him about his son. He talked about his son briefly, and that's the only time he seemed to smile. But the rest of Six say, don't piss him off. It's like I'll try not to. And he asked me like what I'm going to talk about today. The bad guys I'm going to talk about today, and I said I'm talking about Carnage today. Last time, I got to admit the art was always pretty awesome with these guys. So last time I talked about the symbiote, Spider-Man symbiote, and so people are like, oh, why don't you talk about Venom? Well, I kind of already did talk about Venom. All right. Here I'm talking about Carnage, or rather, it's a story about a serial killer, a sociopath named Cletus Cassidy. And because we are dealing with an alien invasion, these aliens took over a serial killer. And this serial killer takes this enormous spider-like power and continues to murder and kill and carnage. This is what the Sinister Six is up against. This is what the Sinister Six is fighting for. We are fighting an alien invasion. The Sinister Six. And you want to throw us in jail? You want to throw us in jail? We're trying to stop guys like this. We are the men who are capable of stopping jerks like Carnage. We're the bad guys? We're the bad guys? Get out of town with that. This guy is a serial killer, super serial killer. And the Sinister Six are the bad guys. Anyway. Let me change the subject. A lot of cool art, though, in the 90s with the... But I didn't like that, the symbiotes. I hate them. Feel like an Adam Sandler when he's sitting there just like, man, I hate that Bob Barker. It's still festering, That's what's funny about like Adam Sandler's movies is that the guy really understood rage. If you listen to some of those old tracks on those albums that they did back in the 90s, like where beating the crap out of a high school janitor, it's a ton of that. It was like Adam Sandler had a lot of rage in him when he was younger. I don't know if he still does or anything, but reading my notes here. Hey, I was wondering, are you guys interested in like what my point of view is? Because I was thinking this earlier before the show started. You guys want to see my point of view? I keep the Wi-Fi out of. Nothing incriminating in the shot. Boom. I'll post that on Instagram. What do you guys think? I don't know. It just popped in my head. Sorry. Very chaotic thinking today. And I know what you think. You know what you're going to say. It's like, you're always chaotic in thinking. I was like, yeah. I don't know what else to say to that. I was thinking of The Star Wars kid. You remember the Star Wars kid? The guy was doing all the Star Wars move with like a curtain rod or something like that. And early days of like modern like social media is like that got shared a lot. The Star Wars kid, and people edited the hell out of it and did remixes and stuff like that. And that's just the nature of the internet. I was thinking about that guy and how after that, he was constantly made fun of for it. The whole country, whole world really laughing at him. And that had an effect on him. I mean, I haven't done any research on this matter. It's just stuff I've learned over the years. It's stuff when I look up Star Wars kid in my brain file, I'm reading the file card that I've collected over the years. It's like, I know he had trouble with depression afterwards. He never really lost any weight. And, that's a big cycle and stuff like that. It would motivate me to lose weight. Anyway, and deals with depression now because, he's a big joke, and it's a shame. It's a shame that, sometimes you can go viral and it can ruin your life. And that's kind of the point I'm trying to make, is that like fame can ruin your life. And so when I hear people who like, I want to be an influencer, and it's like, what does that mean? I want to be an influencer means you want to have a lot of followers. And when you say something, if you say buy brand X, people are going to buy brand X. And that's apparently how you make money. All right. Just because you're popular, just because a lot of people follow you on Instagram or on YouTube or something like that. You want to be an influencer. Fine. But it's a very shallow desire to have. Wanting to be famous is a very shallow desire to have. But I do this not because I want to be famous. I do this because I have to get these things out of me, or it festers and it blows up at work and my job and I get fired and stuff like that. That's usually been the pattern before I had this show. Now I can hold a job. Now I can hold a job and people are like, hey, can I get you to work at Wednesdays at 2? And I was like, no, my pressure valve is from 2 to 3 every Wednesday. Must happen. And I was thinking not only about the Star Wars kid, but I was also thinking about the Island Boys. Island Boys, you know who we're talking about. Did you see the picture I put up for them? You don't have to put up. Everyone knows who we're talking about. I just wanted to point out, is like, it's the only reason they got famous is because they're so freaking goofy looking. Yeah. Plus, I mean, it is a little catchy line. Island boy. But, I just trying to make it. I'm an island boy. If you live in Miami, you're not an island boy. You know what I'm saying? These guys aren't exactly, living in Jamaica because they're rich white guys and they're smart enough not to go to Jamaica. You shouldn't go to Jamaica or Haiti or anything like that. Where the real island boys are up to some real serious shit like eating each other. All right. But I was also thinking about the Haktua girl. She got famous. But back to the Island Boys. I'm sorry. The Island Boys, they got a little clout and stuff like that because of a little bit of money. And so in order to keep that income coming, they had to like keep upping their game and stuff like that, get more ridiculous face tattoos, neck tattoos, or even doing videos of tattoo removals and stuff like that. See, and this is not even stuff, I don't even watch these guys. This is just stuff I picked up about them by watching media and talking to people and so forth. All right. And I heard it got to a point where they even like doing an OnlyFans content with each other. Not necessarily, I don't know. I don't know what kind of person signs up to their OnlyFans, and says to these brothers, why don't you two kiss each other? I don't want to know. Wow, you got a lot of their pictures. I figured some stuff out. Okay. That's awesome. And they're just so goofy looking. They would have been good looking kids if they didn't do all that shit to their face. You know what I mean? And, and if it gets to the point where you need to like do like kissing your brother, kissing his neck content in order to keep the money flowing, you're in the wrong business, pal. All right, I'm getting creeped out. These guys skeeve me out. They should skeeve you out too. But also like the Haktua girl, she went viral for this goofy little thing she said while drunk on the street. And next thing you know, she's putting out this like meme coin thing that's turned out to be a scam. People lost money and, and it was probably because she had that clout, because she all of a sudden Haktua girl was a thing. Everyone wanted the Haktua girl on their podcast. And some jerk came up to her with a scheme, get rich scheme. It's like, hey, push this meme coin or whatever. He gets all the money and runs off. Awesome. Can you do this like about everything I talk about? Okay. I like that. We're leveling up here. And fame is just such a shallow thing to want. It could destroy you. I mean, talk about Kurt Cobain for a second. Whatever you think about his music, you know how I have a strong opinion about his music and how glad I am that he's dead. And whether you think that, he was a CIA asset or Courtney killed him or whatever you think about his death, there have been quotes from Kurt Cobain. This is awesome, dude. Thank you. There have been quotes from this guy saying he didn't like fame. He didn't like people recognizing him. He didn't like feeling like a rock star. I think even in suicide note, it's like, I don't understand people like Freddie Mercury. How could you how could you enjoy this? So he disliked it. And do you know Adam Duritz from Counting Crows? When Counting Crows hit, keeping you on your toes, bud. When Counting Crows hit, what was it, August and everything after the album? Terrible name for an album. Excellent album, though. And when Counting Crows hit, it was on rotation every half hour on the radio stations. It was all over MTV and stuff like that. And Counting Crows is everywhere. They're playing Leno. They're playing everywhere. Everyone wanted a piece of the Counting Crows. And Adam got real anxious, socially anxious of all the attention and fame and stuff like that. It really messed him up. And he kind of wanted to withdraw from the world. And one of his friends eventually, and like Counting Crows wasn't doing anything for a while. And he's like, a friend like convinced him to go be a bartender like in LA so he can get out of his shell, and start interacting with people, start liking people again. Because fame could like mess you up in that way. And unfortunately, I hear he's doing better. Sha la 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 la, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm making fun, but it's because I loved his music. I loved that first album. It was great. But fame can tear you up, and I thank God that I'm not famous. I thank God that I'm ugly and abrasive. People don't like me. I thank God that every now and then I get a subscriber for a day or two, like for 12 hours. Doesn't he look like a nice, normal guy?
He looks super friendly.
Yeah, he looks like a real nice guy. And so, like I'll get like 215 subscribers right now, and then like I'll get it 216. It'll go up to 216, and then 12 hours later it's back down to 215. I was like, what did I say? What video was it? And they're like, and plus, say like my most viewed video, and this, I'm so ashamed of this, is the Nightwing sexy butt video. And it's something like 3,000, 4,000 views it has. And it's like my most viewed video. Now imagine that was 3 million or 4 million views that I had on that video. And all of a sudden I get a ton of revenue just from that one video on my channel. I get a ton of views and and people are asking me for more superhero butt content. And all of a sudden I change the name of this channel to Superhero Butts. And I'm talking about this. No way. I really didn't like that angle of my thumb pointing right at his butt. You know what I mean? Hey, Nightwing. Anyway. So I thank God I'm not famous. I thank God that I'm ugly and abrasive. A little more money would be nice. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Get yourself a sticker pack. I tell you why it's chaotic. Chaotic today. I had a weird weekend. I got to tell you this story. EK is going to be first time hearing this too. I had this girl faint because I was so damn sexy when I was at Wawa. She fainted. I'll tell you what happened, but that's my take on what happened. All right, you can make your own assessment about what actually happened. So I'm in line at Wawa, getting 2 beers. I got them on the counter there, and then waiting in line. And there's this real skinny cashier, and I'm looking at her, and I was like, I mean, I like the skinny girls. I mean, your butt looks great and everything, and boy, I hope you're over 18. And since I'm sitting here, nice butt, but your arms are real thin, your thighs are real thin, and that's kind of a turnoff. Guys like a little meat on the thigh, right? So I get up there, and she looks at me, and she scans my beer. She says, okay, your card's ready. And I put my card in the slot. I pay for it. And goes, boop, boop, remove your card. Starts beeping. And I turned back and look at her, and she's like got her arms like this, and she's shaking. I can see like there's not a whole lot going on behind her eyes. And I'm like, I said, "Oh my God, are you having a seizure?" And me, not being a medical professional, I was like, I'm thinking diabetes, seizure, uh, um, uh, dehydration, heat stroke, tons of things that I don't know anything about. And she's like not saying anything. And eventually she just like falls down like into a squatted position, holding on to the counter. And I was like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Maybe you should sit down." And as I say sit down, she stands up. And I was like, "Oh, okay, we'll stand up." And I said, "Well, lean over the counter so you don't fall down." And I'm like this close to her face, and I'm holding onto her shoulders, keeping her on the counter. And I say, "Breathe." And she's looking at me, and she's got this big grin, and she's looking at me in the eyes. And I was just like, man, the thought that popped in my head was, it's been a long time since a pretty girl smiled at me. But so I had to push that aside. And I was looking at her eyes. I could see not everything was firing. And she's like, I am breathing. I was like, well, I guess I'm stupid. You're a human being. I guess you have to breathe. And so I said, "I guess we need to get your manager." And I turned to someone in the line, this other guy in the line, turned around, goes to the manager's office. He says something in there. Based upon the manager's reaction, this is what I imagine the guy said when he came in the office. "Hey, you need to do something about this girl. Get her a sandwich or something." That's my guess of what that guy said, because he comes back out and the manager comes flying out of the office. He's like, "Hey, man, that's not cool. You shouldn't say something like that. That's not cool." And so he walks around to line. He sees there's a big line, and I'm holding on to this girl, and she's finally like getting out of my grasp and like standing up. She's like, I'm dehydrated." And I said, "Well, I'm not that sexy. Plus, there's a drink of water right there, and you're not touching it. How much liquid is in your body when this causes a release of moisture in your nethers?" So that's why I think she passed out, because I am too sexy for my beer, too sexy for Wawa. Anyway, yeah. And so the manager comes around, he sees the line, and he's not really getting what's going on with her. And so he moves the thing. He's like, "Okay, I'll take the next customer over here." And everyone in line is like, "No, dude, you need to take care of her." And he comes up and he's like, "Oh my God," it says her name. He's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "No." It's like, "Yeah, you need to sit her down, get her a drink of water or something." She is not well today. And so I paid for everything and left the store. And I said to the guy who was leaving, it's like, "I can't believe the manager reacted like that." And it's like, I'm just trying to tell him the truth. I don't know what he said to the manager, but "You need to get this skinny girl sandwich," is my guess. And the reason I'm telling this story is because, eating disorders are a real thing. I know you ladies out there love to remain trim. I get it. I love it too. I love trim women. You know what I mean? But you got to fucking eat. You got to drink your water. Your nervous system, the reason why she was shaking like that is because her nervous system was shorting out. And it could have been she doesn't have the right nutrition in her body. She doesn't, not getting enough neural conductivity because not enough water in her body. And that causes short outs of your neurology. You need to drink water. You need to eat food. I feel like we are trying to tell an adult says, you got to be an adult to sign up and watch this channel on YouTube. And it's like, eat food, drink water, brush your teeth. You got to take care of yourself. And I was thinking back to when I was in wrestling, and I was glad I only did it for like a half a season, and I left before I got an eating disorder, because these guys were obsessed with like their weight. Granted, I was 163 in my sophomore year, which is big. I was a chunky dude. That's why I joined wrestling. But they wanted me to get down to 145, and in order to do that, I had to stop. I would have to have stopped eating for like a week, stop drinking for 3 days or 2 days or something like that to get the water weight, because they're so obsessed with weight that they'll work themselves out to get the water out of their system. They wear what they call like a sweatsuits, like a suit that like supposed to pull the sweat out to lose the water weight. Boxers do this as well in order to lose weight to get to a different weight class. You know what I mean? And it's incredibly dangerous because your brain and your neurology needs water and needs food, or else you'll start shorting out. And especially if you're boxing, you're gonna be hitting another dude in the face. It's like it's like you're trying to get your brain as stupid as possible. But I think she fainted because she was so sexy. I was so sexy. She was like, that madman. Swoon. And I was watching CinemaSins. They did Superman, when that scene in Superman where Lois Lane falls, like faints. And CinemaSins, when anyone faints in the movie, he's like, "Geez, someone needs a sandwich," And I always thought that was a funny little bit that he does, because like back in the 70s and stuff like that, like women fasting was a very common thing, and you'd see it in movies and television shows, even like going back to like the South, like the antebellum South, they oh, I got the vapors and on the chairs because they're all starving themselves. Fasting was a very, very common thing for women back then. And when someone says you need a sandwich, it's like, all right, time to put the fast to an end, because your thinking's getting muddled. You're getting lightheaded. There's nothing behind your eyes. You're smiling at guys that are way that you're way too good for. You know what I mean? And I wish she was smiling. She was embarrassed. Anyway, poor girl. I hope she's okay. All right, let's do a quick movie review, and then we'll do the news. Major League 2. I watched Major League 2. It's a 1994 movie. The first movie came out like 5 years before, like 6 years ahead before that, like 88, 89, 88. But then, I agree the second one was better. And this is the first time I've seen this movie. I hadn't seen it before until the other day. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I want you to take that into account when I give the star rating, all right? Because I'm pretty excited. I very much enjoyed the movie, even though I heard other people like panned it. I searched on the internet for any other video show, anyone else talking about it. I found like a podcast talking about it. And I don't agree. I don't agree with them. And I don't want to talk about every single detail in there, because, I don't want to spoil all the jokes, even though I'm going to spoil the best one. And so I really like the movie because Charlie Sheen comes back. He was like Wild Thing in the other one, but now he's kind of changed. He's going through a different character arc where he's like, no, I want to do split fingers. I want to do a curveball. I want to mix in a changeup. But now he's losing his heat. He's not throwing his heaters anymore. They don't have the speed that he used to have. But he's like, oh, I want to have a career, and he's focused on long term, and his hair's normal again, and he's dating like models, and his agent is like a cover girl. I think that's the word, the one how they described her in the movie, a cover girl, And I like that. It's like he's going through a different character arc. Tom Berenger is going through a different character arc. He's like, I'm getting too old for the ball. Now I'm going to become a manager. I don't like it. I'm a ball player. It's like, yeah, but you look like you're pushing 50 in this movie. You're Tom Berenger, for God's sakes. You probably look 50 when you were 20.
Baseball's one of those sports, though.
But baseball is a sport where you can play up into your 40s, obviously. But as a catcher, that's insane. Your knees got to be plastic at that point. The like Dorn is now like the owner, and it's crazy. It's like the next season, and the team is already, a Major League Baseball team has already changed hands, and then like halfway through the movie, it changes hands back again, and you're like, this is the craziest season of baseball ever. Everyone looks 5 years older. Wesley Snipes isn't there. I believe he was in jail, so they got Omar Epps, and although Omar Epps is a good actor, it seemed like he was acting like Wesley Snipes. And I guess that's an homage to Wesley Snipes, but hey.
Gotta bring that same energy.
Yeah, you got to do if you're playing the same character. I guess that's, as an actor, that's probably what you have to do, Because if I'm a different looking person, but I'm playing the same character, I got to act like the actor who acted in that original character the first time. That makes sense. I like the Kamikaze Tanaka. He's funny. You're like giving up his body for knocking himself out all the time, catching fly balls. That's funny. And plus his interactions with Serrano, the whole Buddha and Miss Jambu thing. That's great interaction. And he's sitting there trying to yell. He's yelling at him. You have no. Pulls out his little translation book. Marbles. It reminded me of that Monty Python bit. It's like where they had a translation book that they're playing pranks on people. Please fondle my buttocks. No, this is the tobacconist with tobacco shop. Ah, do you want to come back to my place? A bouncy. And so it was funny. And so he had this interaction with Serrano, introduced Serrano to Buddha for all the good it did him. And Serrano, he was always getting like too wrapped up in his head. Like even in the first movie, he's wrapped up in his head. And so in this movie, it's different because he's so chill and laid back. He's like, "Hey, how you doing, friend?" Yeah. It's like he gets struck out, and he's like, "Oh, that's a damn good pitch, man. Really good." It's just real positive all the time. You're just like, God, you got to get a little mean to be a competitive, athlete. You know what I mean? It's good stuff. My favorite character was a new one, I guess. Rube Baker. Eric Bruscotter played Rube Baker. It's like a hayseed. And he had the best joke in the movie, and I'm going to spoil it for you. It's the only thing I'm going to spoil, I think, in this movie. And he says, he's talking to Charlie Sheen, I think. He's like, I know you broke up with your girl, and I know something kind of like that, Now, granted, I've never had any kind of long-term girlfriend or anything, but I kind of know what pain is like, because once I was a kid, I got kicked in the balls by a mule. And I was like, and I felt like, man, my balls are never going to stop hurting. And Charlie Sheen's like, huh? Okay. And you know what happened the very next week? He's like, no, what? My mom died. Anyway, I wasn't thinking about how much my balls hurt anymore. So think about that. It was like when I was a kid, I'd come up to my dad, I'd have a headache, and he's like, "Oh, let me pound your foot with a hammer." And I'm like, "Why?" And because then your foot will hurt and not your head. And I'm like, oh. It's a strange method of treatment, but okay. Where's the hammer? And plus, what I do like about Rube is he messes up colloquialisms quite a bit, And I always think that that's funny. I especially thought it was funny in Dinner for Schmucks. It's like, you know what to say? A mind is a terrible thing. And that's just like truncating them, But he would mix them. Mix them poorly. Yeah, Renee Russo was in it. Man, she was hot back then. Renee Russo. Anyway, great movie. I thought it was great good for laughs. It gets the +2 star treatment. I give +2 stars simply for the dead mom joke, because those are always tricky. If you're doing a joke about a dead mother, it's got to be good. But if you lead with get kicked in the balls by a mule, an evil mule, it works. Well done. Major League 2, 1994, 10 of 13 stars, or 8 of 13 stars, if you want something more objective. Hey, you got 3 people watching now. Hi, comments. You can comment if you like. We're going to get into the news, though. I'd like to check at halftime. See what's going on. All right, we're going to talk about the big news. I love how little Eric knows about that. Ooh, tell me about this Iran thing.
I don't watch the news.
Yeah, I can't stop. I read so much. I can't stop. Periodicals are so much easier. The internet is so much easier, because otherwise I got to buy stuff like this. All right. So we talk about Israel and Iran at war. I guess war is the word, but it's more like a spanking. It's the precision and control that Israel is showing is astounding. It's amazing. So these are just the fast facts here from Fox News. Hit the bullet points. All right, so President Trump convened the Situation Room meeting Tuesday to consider U.S. involvement in the Israel-Iran conflict. That's the big controversy of the day. Israeli Foreign Affairs Minister Gideon Saar, forgive me, tells the UN Security Council that Iran crossed every red line. This is true. Iran is warning it will respond to if the U.S. joins Israel's fight against Tehran. What are you going to do? Iran Supreme Leader Khamenei responded to President Trump's threats on social media, saying the U.S. will suffer irreparable harm if it joins the conflict. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz, that name's kind of on the nose, isn't it? Claims the IDF has destroyed Iran's internal security headquarters. You talking trash to America. What are you going to do? Trump mocked Iran as defenseless in comments to reporters on Wednesday and said he may order strikes against the regime alongside Israel. I hope that's not the case. Why do you think Israel needs help in this? They are handling it, you know? And so, although Israel's an ally of the United States, and I think Iran is a very, very bad place, only because it's ruled by very bad people. And you take those guys out. Frankly, I don't know why you didn't target them first and let the people take Iran back and get miniskirts and pompadours again and start enjoying life. Because, you know, it's Iran. So a woman, like if she goes outside and some man sees her hair, they're going to shoot her. They're going to round her up and shoot her. Because you have to cover your hair, miss. Because I'm a man and I cannot enjoy. I cannot control myself if I see a woman and I'm just like, oh, now I'm overcome with impure sexual thoughts. So that's your fault for not covering your hair. All right. Anyway. So it's a shame people got to die, you know, but some countries, you know, because they shouldn't have nuclear weapons. And especially when they say, well, if we get a nuclear weapon, the first thing we're going to do is blow up Israel. And Israel's like, what? And they're like, hey, Israel, are you selling any fissile material? Like, what? No, we're not going to sell you fissile material. You just said you want to blow us up. Yeah, we do. But if you have any for sale. Are you crazy? Yes, they're Iranians. They're Muslims. They're inbred. They're idiots. Let's go to this next story about these. We got to do something about these judges. This is weird. Florida Attorney General held in contempt after challenging court's block on immigration law. So, federal judge found Tuesday that Florida Attorney General James Uthmeier was in civil contempt of court over her ruling. How did I know it was a woman judge? To pause a new state law making it a crime for people living in the U.S. illegally to enter the state. U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams ordered on April 29th that Uthmeier show cause on why he should not be held in contempt or sanctioned for violating a temporary restraining order from the court, though Williams ultimately decided he was unable to convince her otherwise. Quote, if being held in contempt is what it costs to defend the rule of law and I stand firmly behind the President Trump's agenda on illegal immigration, so be it, Uthmeier said Tuesday in a post on X. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed legislation into law in February that made it a misdemeanor for illegal immigrants to enter the state as part of President Donald Trump's push to crack down on illegal immigration. But on April 4th, Williams issued a 14-day temporary restraining order in response to the law. Following a lawsuit filed by the Florida Immigrant Coalition and other groups, she then extended the TRO another 11 days after learning the Florida Highway Patrol had arrested over a dozen people, including a U.S. citizen. Whoops, one got caught in the net. Whoopsie. So I guess we got to stop all of it. Idiot liberal judges. The court said on April 18th that Florida law enforcement officers were bound by the TRO, preventing them from enforcing the criminal immigration law. The court also ordered the Attorney General to provide notice of all law enforcement officers, which Uthmeier initially complied with. On April 23, he sent a follow-up letter telling law enforcement community that no judicial order properly restrains you from enforcing the immigration law, adding that no lawful, legitimate order currently impedes your agencies from continuing to enforce the statute. As a result, the court has required Uthmeier to show causes why he should not be held in contempt for violating the TRO. Yeah. Oh, you're mad at me? It's like that scene in Team America World Police. Is like, oh no, Hans Blix. And it's like, what are you gonna let us inspect your weapons? And he's like, no. Well, he goes, what are you gonna do about it? He's like, we'll write you a letter. You're gonna make us very angry. And what are you gonna do about it? They will write you a letter telling you how angry we are with you. Like, okay. So, I mean, that's really all this judge is doing. It's like, I don't like you. That's what contempt of court is. Every time you see it in movies, it's like this whole court is out of order. You know? It's because you pissed off the judge. That's all it is. And he's just like, okay, we're still going to do the right thing just because your liberal ass is like safe behind your bench. Because that's the whole point. It's like we're starting to enforce laws again. And people are like, oh my God, why are we enforcing law? Because you every society has to, or else it won't remain a society. You would think a judge would understand that. But it's a woman judge. Some jobs women shouldn't have. All right, next story. Let's talk about the collapse of the old school news world. CNN morale really grim as network faces uncertain future with corporate split, staffers warn.
They played a Broadway show.
What?
They played a full Broadway show on CNN not long ago.
Really?
Yeah, how's that news?
That's strange. Broadway show. Okay, let's do this. CNN staffers are bracing for impact as the network faces yet another restructuring by its parent company, Warner Brothers Discovery, WBD, fueling an unsettling morale in the newsroom. I'd say the mood is really grim. One CNN staffer told Fox News Digital, people are uncertain. Last week, WBD announced it was splitting into two companies, separating the studios and streaming business from its cable network, CNN among them. The latter company, tentatively dubbed Global Networks, will be led by WBD CFO Gunnar Weidenfels. Sorry, I hope I got that right. The split is expected to be completed next year. We knew this was happening, the CNN staffer said, and it was required to be able to sell the company. People were hoping CNN will be sold. And as Gunnar said, spitting all over the place. Oh no, I touched the screen and now. All right. CNN would be sold, and as Gunnar said, there's no limit. Any scale can be made at any time to a buyer who will invest in it. That's the bottom line. While Global Networks will retain a 20% stake in studio streaming business, CNN's new parent company will have a heavy burden taking on most of Warner Brothers Discovery's massive debt, and Weidenfels is expected to tighten the purse strings. I think they telegraph clearly that more cuts are coming. Gunnar efficiencies, the CNN staffer said, and we don't have streaming yet, so it's hard to imagine it doesn't get worse. CNN is set to launch a new streaming service this fall. His remit is not to grow stuff. This company is a cash flow giant with shrinking revenue. Like, that's the deal. That's merely a matter of how fast it shrinks. Wow. That's why the assets were split. That's really pessimistic language, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Yeah, so why are these old school news networks failing? The easy answer is because they've been showing their bias for a long time. And it's because networks like CNN started showing their bias for a while now that new networks have sprouted up, like the Daily Wire. I hate bringing them into this, but I mean it's arguably somewhat more objective than CNN, and that's kind of what people want, is objectivity in their news. Let them make their own decisions, and the arrogance of newscasters, on like news shows. I mean, opinions a different matter. All right, you can sit there and argue so Daily Wire is mostly opinion, and that's fine. You can argue that, but there are they do have like journalistic integrity, and they do journalistic stories, and arguably more impartial than CNN has been for a long time. And that's why they're losing money. People don't want to watch it anymore. It's only the loyalists. It's only the boomer loyalists, really, who are watching CNN. The kind of people who went out for the No Kings. That is exactly the CNN crowd, bunch of old pissed off boomers, hippie boomers. That's what it is, right? These draft dodgers and stuff like that still think we're gonna stop the war, man. Bring the Metamucil. All right, let's go on to the next story. This rock band frontman declares Trump voters are not allowed at his shows. Oh, who could it be? Is it U2? Is it Counting Crows? Lead singer of the alternative rock band, the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. Never heard of you, and I'm not welcome at your shows. How are you ever going to get new people to enjoy your product? Anyway, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus told supporters. All right, we got to go to editor mode here. Gabriel Hayes, It's a dude, and he's got curly hair. Here's a sentence. The lead singer of the alternative rock band, the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, told supporters of Donald Trump, they are permanently banned from his shows. Saturday. That's the sentence. No commas, no semicolons. The lead singer of the alternative rock band, the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, there's too many thes. Lead singer of alternative rock band, the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, told supporters of President Donald Trump, supporters of President Donald Trump, they are permanently banned from his shows Saturday. Fox, fire this guy. Or fire your editor. Somebody should have caught this horrible sentence. This is the lead sentence of this article. Anyway, who is Red Jumpsuit Apparatus? Frontman Ronnie Winter made a declaration in a video posted to his band's official Instagram page saying that if you voted for Donald Trump, do not come to my shows forever. Not just like these 4 years. What an asshole. He specifically attacked Christian Trump supporters, stating, if you're a Christian and you voted for Donald Trump, shame on you. You're not allowed to come to my shows. I don't want you there. Don't come to my shows. Winter continued, do not come to my shows because you're going to hear a lot of propaganda and you're going to hear like the actual words of Jesus. Okay. You're going to see a lot of acceptance from all areas of life and races, and you're just going to see a lot of harmony, okay? That's not what you're all about. Right, man? Because that's what Jesus was. He was just a hippie. He was groovy with everybody, man. He never made a chord with a bunch of knots in it and overturned changing tables and whipped people with it. He never cursed corn. He never spat in the face of of the society he was living in. Anyway. I think it just irritates me when some people think they know how Christ would be in this day and age. He'd be making a big rope with a bunch of knots in it. Sorry. All right, look, man, the thing about being woke is you're awake. Jeez, look at this intellectual level of this guy. And once you're awake, you can never go to sleep. Not only has nothing changed, but everything they said was going to happen to woke people has happened. You have done nothing but prove them right. Anyway, never heard of your band, dude? Never wanted to go to your show? So, thanks for the good news. You don't want me there either. Hell, I don't want me there. 2 more happier stories and then we'll be out of here. Look at the viewer count. 5 people watching now? Why? What's up? All right, I hope that someone gets mine. Message in a bottle from 1983 washes up on a remote island with historical contents intact. A year has passed before I left my note. I forget the lyrics. What did that come out in 79? Message in a bottle. Police. That was like 79, 80 when Police came out. A peculiar message in a bottle recently surfaced on the shore of a remote Canadian island. The discovery was announced by the Sable Island National Park Reserve in a May 23 Facebook post. The small island is located off the waters of Nova Scotia. I've been there. In the post, park officials said the bottle was discovered by Mark Doucette, an archaeology technician from Potlotech First Nation, a community of Micmac Native Americans. I think I nailed it. Did I get it right, Micmacs? I hope I'm not pissing you off. I know you're real sensitive about that shit. Anyway, quote, the message is very faded, but we could have made out the bottle was sent to sea January 14th, 1983 from a resupply ship operating near Sable Island. Speaking to Fox News Digital, Parks Canada representative Jennifer Nicholson said that after opening the bottle, the first thing officials noticed was its strong smell. Did they fart in it? Well, first off, you can still smell the gin. Second best thing. I would have farted in it. You know, you put the note in first, you fart in it, you cork it, and you throw it in. Just to give a little surprise. The note could be like, help save me and stuff like that. P.S. Enjoy the fart. Because what if you don't get rescued and you die on that island? At least you can die peacefully knowing that there's one more joke you have left to tell. That's just my way of thinking. Not a whole lot of books on a deserted island, so you got to think about fun stuff like that. All right, the gin dissolved. Some of the ink on the letter is still faintly visible. Nicholson said that the paper was still damp from being inside the bottle for 4 decades. As it dried, you can make out more of the message. You can see the impressions left behind by the pen. The letter had scant details about the ship it was sent from, which required some research from park officials. It was a little hard to make out the ship's name at first, but you could tell it ended with Sea Hunter. We did a little bit of digging. One of the archaeologists found that it used to be a resupply ship called the Wimpy Sea Hunter. That's a great name. It was a British supply ship built in Devon in 1982. She added there were crew names on the back as well. We haven't been able to track any of them down after all this time, but if they're out there, we'd love to hear from them. Yeah, that'd be a cool story. The bottle contained a $2 bill from 1974, which featured a portrait of young Queen Elizabeth. That's cool. I like old bills. Bank of Canada replaced the $2 bill with a $2 coin in 1996, and some of the Sable team have seen the $2 bill, have never seen the $2 bill before. Oh, interesting. That's right. Yeah, they had the $2 coin last time I was there. They didn't have the $2 bill anymore. Huh. It's unheard of to use a similar bottle to wash up in the Canadian shores. Nicholson said that one message in a bottle is usually found in Nova Scotia per year. A lot of them are from the 80s. A bunch of pictures of Sting inside. With love notes written by love-struck 14-year-old girls in England. Sting, write me back. That's fun. Anyway, let's go to this last story, then we're out of here. Yeah, why do you hate your child, is my note. Pregnant woman's nuclear-inspired baby name sparks meltdown on social media. A woman sparking debate by sharing a baby name of an expectant mother inspired a nuclear disaster. Posted in the R Tragedy, Tragedeigh. That's a woman's form, right? It's got to be. Forum on Reddit, a user shared a photo of a baby shower invite, captioning the post, "I'm speechless. Please join us for a baby shower," reads the pink invite, showing clip art of balloons, a star, moon, and an elephant. Join us to help celebrate the coming arrival of a little bundle of joy in honor of Chernobyl Hope, the baby's name, the invite reveals. The name reflects the deadly 1986 Ukraine nuclear accident that took place at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Ukraine was under the control of the Communist Soviet Union at the time, and the disaster took place at the plant by the Soviets. Ukraine declared its independence in 1991. Little history lesson. The Chernobyl tragedy released radioactive material into the atmosphere, making the city an exclusion zone, killing an estimated 31 people. Horrifically, by the way. The Bomb to Bees post garnered over 32,000 reactions, with thousands of Redditors taken to the comment section to discuss. I'll read one comment and then we will comment. "If I were a guest at that shower and I heard that name, I would have a total meltdown," commented the user. People are awesome that way. You know, when it comes to roasting other people, we are really good at that in America, you know. And when I first read this news story, I thought about that scene in Waiting. And you go like, there's a one little interlude where they're going like from table to table, and the weird conversations going on at every table. It's a shame chlamydia had to be a venereal disease. I think it'd be a good name for my daughter. My daughter, chlamydia. You know, and I guess you have the right to name your kid whatever you want. Jacqueline, AA Ron. You know, but when you name your baby after a nuclear disaster, why do you hate this kid so much? Did you not want the baby and they're making you have it? I don't get it. I mean, obviously, you're going to call her Hope in school, right? But still, she's going to have to write a nuclear disaster on every piece of paperwork for the rest of her life, every job application, on every resume. And it's going to be the first thing that happens in every interview. So is your name really Chernobyl? Or is that a joke? I guess it could get you more likely to get an interview. Like you get a bunch of resumes dropped off, and the manager comes over. "Here's the resumes that got dropped off today." And start looking through them. "This chick's name is Chernobyl." Well, call her back. I want to get to the bottom of that. Did your mom hate you? Anyway, this is going to be the end of the show. I'll remind you again, go to Patreon. Patreon.com. Hey, where'd it go? Patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. You can also send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. I would appreciate that as well. And if you become a patron or you send me money through Cash App, I can get an address from you, and I'll ship you out a sticker pack. Follow me on social media at DNALETSAW. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards on Twitter, or at SLRobbins13 on the Instagram. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and believe it or not, I love you.